So those of you who know me and watch my favourites videos a lot know that I am a huge, oh, I'm not going to say a TV addict, because that's actually wrong, because I don't actually watch that much TV, but I like series. I like to really sink my teeth into a series and kind of watch it back to back, and I get very enthusiastic and very into it. And I know Kyla did a video about her favourite kind of picks on Netflix and that kind of thing, and I thought I would do something a little bit similar, not in a kind of I'm copying her video type of way at all, because the types of shows that I like are completely different. I know she talked about a lot of ones that were kind of comedy things and 30 Rock and that kind of thing, and a lot of Netflix programs, and to be fair, I think most of the things I'm going to mention, and really annoyingly, aren't on Netflix. I think I've only watched one of them on Netflix, but I'm going to kind of talk about ones that have ended as well, and just my kind of top recommendations for TV series that I think you would enjoy if you like the type of things that I like, that is. So the first one I'm going to talk about is obviously going to be the most recent one that I finished, which is Sons of Anarchy. Now I have kind of a specific, not a test, that's the wrong word, but put it this way: if I am reaching for my phone while I'm watching something, I'm not that into it, and that happens with a lot of programs. Sons of Anarchy, that didn't happen with. It was definitely one of my top programs, and I'll say at the end kind of what my top 5 recommendations would be out of everything I'm going to mention. But the characters in it, the more you watch it, they're just so well written. They're very complicated characters, because it went on for 7 seasons. That's kind of 7 years of those actors polishing those characters and putting so much into them. Kurt Sutter, who is the creator of the show and the writer, did such a great job at making these really well-rounded characters that you kind of loved, even though they were really flawed and they weren't good people necessarily, but you loved them. And I absolutely love him for writing the character that Katie Seagal plays, which is Gemma Teller, because I just think she's one of the greatest characters on TV. I know a lot of people really didn't like her, but I just thought she was such a great character, because I feel like so many female actresses these days just have really boring characters to play, and she was just such a great character. We will have to address the fact that Charlie Hunnam is just perfection personified, so that made it very easy to watch, and he does have quite a few shower scenes as well, so that was always a nice bonus. But a great show. It's basically about a group of bikers in a town called Charming, and they're outlaws basically, so there's kind of a lot of drugs involved, a lot of kind of gun dealing, and then other groups that they deal with kind of as well, and various kind of, not political agendas, but just different groups, and how the kind of main star of it, which is Charlie Hunnam, who plays Jax Teller, is kind of trying to not be such an outlaw but still be loyal to his motorbike club. And it's just a very good show. Really recommend it. I enjoyed it so much, and I also think it had a great ending. No spoilers, but it had a really good ending. I hate when shows have a slightly sort of disappointing ending where you're just not keen on it. That had a really perfect ending in my opinion. Then what else do we have? True Detectives. This is another one of my favourites. Now I say True Detectives, I mean True Detective season 1. True Detective season 2, not up to much in my opinion. I know we're only on episode 4, but I don't even know the characters' names, and we're on episode 4. I'm not invested in it. The story isn't gripping in the same way, so I'm not going to kind of just, you know, bash season 2, because it hasn't finished yet, and maybe it will be good. But season 1 you have to watch. And what's good about True Detectives is it's a separate story each season, so they're not kind of linked to each other at all. Season 1, Matthew McConaughey, Woody Harrelson. I'm a huge Matthew McConaughey fan. I think he's such a great actor. Woody Harrelson is great in it as well. It's set in kind of Louisiana, which I really like. I like programs that are set in kind of that type of area, and they're basically investigating a crime that at first you think is just one girl, and then it just goes deeper and deeper. really well written show. Characters are very, very well written. It's quite deep and dark and very pessimist almost, but it's very, very clever. Really makes you think, really gripping. It's like watching a film because it's kind of filmed in that way as well, and it's only 8 episodes I believe, so it's not one that you have to kind of commit too much to, and it's just a great, great show. Really, really outstanding in terms of TV these days, so I love that. The third one is Homeland. Now I loved Homeland to begin with. Kind of season 3 dwindled a little bit for me. Season 4 was just great. She again, Kerry Matheson, who is played by Claire Danes, is a great, great female character. I think she's just so interesting and cool, and it's basically a show about a guy who had been held captive, and in, I think it was, I can't remember where it was because season 1 was such a long time ago, but he was being held captive, and he was returned to the US. He was a US Marine, and they think that he's turned, and she's a CIA agent, and it's just very kind of gripping. It's a lot of kind of about terrorism and that kind of thing, so if you find that interesting, I think it would be very interesting to watch from that aspect. And it's just a great show. The acting in it's really good as well. The writing in it and the dialogue's not as outstanding, and it's not funny. It's never got funny moments like the other 2 shows I just mentioned. Despite being very serious, do you have a slight kind of sarcastic comedy element to them. Homeland doesn't, but it is very action packed and it's great. So Homeland, yeah. Then how could I not mention Breaking Bad? I'm sure everyone's watched Breaking Bad because it was just so popular, but again, great. Chemistry teacher in high school turns drug lord. It's just, you know, that explanation is just great. The acting in it was very good from the 2 main parts. I have an issue with programs that don't have good actors in them. It's something that really bugs me, and I know it's so subjective. Everybody can kind of see it differently. The 2 main characters in Breaking Bad, I thought their acting was great. The others not so much, but really, really good show, and very kind of unusual as well. So that's Breaking Bad. Then we have Game of Thrones, which again I'm sure pretty much everybody watches. I don't even know how you could begin to explain what Game of Thrones is about because it's so complicated. I'm not even sure that the creator himself knows what it's about. But it's kind of it's not sci-fi, is it, but kind of fantasy world in a kingdom called Westeros, and it's lots of different groups, and they're basically all fighting for power. Quite violent, quite sexual content, and just quite graphic in general. Quite bad language, but just good. It's that kind of medieval type of thing. It's not something that I necessarily would think that I would like, but I do really, really love it. It's kind of got almost like a, I don't want to say Lord of the Rings because I'm not actually a fan of Lord of the Rings, but it's got a sort of very rough medieval aspect to it. The acting in it from all the characters is great. There is about 12,000 different characters, and yeah, my favourites in them, I have to say, are Khaleesi. Love her, I think she's great. Tyrion, because I think he's hilarious, and Jon Snow. And please can nobody put any spoilers about Game of Thrones in the comments down below, because there might be people who haven't watched it yet and might not want to know what happens. I'm not going to elaborate on that anymore, but don't put any spoilers about the recent season in it because people might not have watched it. But really recommend that. It's something that you have to get into, and it's not for everyone, but it is really, really good. But it is a show that kind of, I don't want, you know, people will have watched it by now, won't they? But don't get too attached to any of the characters because it's very kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Not interchangeable, but it's very shocking. It has lots of shocking kind of storylines in it. So that's that. Then slightly kind of lesser ones, but ones that I have enjoyed nonetheless. The Blacklist. I haven't watched quite a lot of the most recent episodes because I just kind of stopped halfway, and then I can't remember, maybe we started watching something else and I just haven't finished it, but I did really enjoy it. It's basically about a FBI agent who one day, this guy who is like number 3 on the FBI's most wanted list or something, comes in and says that he's got intel and he's willing to work with them, but will only deal with this one girl. And the story kind of spins from there, and it's cool because every episode they deal with a different case, so it kind of says the name of the episode is the person that they're tackling on the FBI's list, which is the blacklist, and they kind of tackle different ones in each episode, and then it kind of goes into her personal life and how maybe she's connected to him, and it's good. It's not outstanding TV in the way that like Game of Thrones and True Detectives are, in that way, the way they're filmed and everything, but it's still very good. Then The Following. The first season of The Following was amazing. I was so into it. The second one was pretty good. The third one, however, spoiled it a little bit for me, but nonetheless it is a show that's worth watching because is it Jack Carroll or Joe Carroll? I never remember. But anyway, him, the villain basically, is a kind of very, very charming, not bad looking mastermind who is behind bars. He was put away by a FBI agent played by Kevin Bacon, and he kind of manages to cultivate things from inside prison, and he manages to kind of get himself a cult of followers, and then the story kind of goes in lots of other different directions, but it is very good. It's quite action packed and quite thrilling, and the relationship between him and the FBI agent is really good fun. It's quite funny and quite sarcastic, and definitely a good show. I think that it has ended now. I don't think they're coming back for season 4, which is annoying because the ending of it was slightly disappointing in my opinion, but it was okay. And then the last one is Gotham, which isn't again something that I would think I would like, but it stars Ben McKenzie from the OC in it, and it is basically about Gotham as in Batman's Gotham, and it is how Commissioner Gordon became Commissioner Gordon. So back when he was just a policeman, and it has kind of a young Bruce Wayne in it, and then lots of other characters from the Batman films that are not there yet, haven't become the Joker, haven't become the Penguin, and all that kind of thing. It's just lots of different things, so it's really, really good. The acting in it again, not great in my opinion, and it's not filmed in that sort of way, but it's just it's easy viewing. It's quite good. If you like the Batman story, then it's interesting. I must admit, it is one of the shows that it is one of the stories kind of from all those types of comics that I like the most, because it's quite dark and it's just, I don't know, he's just a little bit cooler, isn't he? But it's nice, and the I can't remember what her name is, but she's Will Smith's wife, and she's in the new Magic Mike, but she plays a character in it called Fish Mooney, who's like this kind of really, really badass club owner, and she's great in it. Her acting's very, very good in it. She's a very, very good actress. Some of the others not so much, but she's very, very good, and she's a great kind of female role. Then the next one is Orange is the New Black, which, speaking of female roles, pretty much an all-female cast. This was something that I think not everybody will like it. It's not serious, it's quite easy viewing, but it's clever. It's well written, the characters are very well written, and if you like, I think it's a type of programme that if you're quite a kind of if you're someone who reads books a lot and who likes to watch things about people, you will enjoy it. All these programs I tend to watch with my boyfriend, all the ones I've mentioned we've watched together. Orange is the New Black, he's not the biggest fan of. I think he gets a bit bored because it's a bit like chit chat about people, a little bit more girly, if you will. Not that they ever talk about really girly things, but it's not action packed, it's not, you know, thrilling. They don't really have really thrilling storylines, but it's basically about a girl called Piper Chapman who goes to prison for a drug offence, and then they kind of introduce you to all the other inmates in the prison and show you their stories, why they're in there, how they got in there, their relationships inside the prison, the groups inside the prison. It's really, really interesting to kind of see what goes on inside a prison, even though I'm sure that in real prisons it doesn't conduct itself the way that their Litchfield prison does. But very funny, very well written. Some of the characters in it are just great as well. The My favourite, I think, would have to be Tasty, because I just think she's so adorable and cute and funny and happy, and her group kind of, I think they're the nicest group. I was talking to someone about this the other day, and I was saying if I had to be in any of the groups, if I was in prison, I'd want to be in their group. And he was like, oh, I thought you'd be like with the other groups, so like Latina girl groups. And I was like, why? And he said, oh, because just you look a bit like them. And I was like, no, they're quite loud and they kind of argue a lot. Tasty's group, if you watch it, you'll know what I mean. They're quite fun and just happy, and I really like them. Really dislike Chapman though. She's like, I really don't like her. Red's a really good character in it, and it's a fun show. It's on Netflix as well. I think it's actually a Netflix exclusive program, and it's an unusual show. It's something that you have to watch and then decide if you're into it. It's not something that I feel like I could safely recommend to many people, because I don't think it would be to everyone's taste. It's a little bit unusual, but very, very good nonetheless. So that's it. Those are my favourites. Now, if I had to pick my top 5 favourite shows, it would probably go... I'm going to say Sons of Anarchy first, just because that's what I've watched recently, and I do think it is amazing, but maybe not, okay, top 5 not in order, just top 5 will do. Sons of Anarchy, Game of Thrones, Homeland, Sons of Anarchy, Game of Thrones, Homeland, True Detectives, obviously. Breaking Bad, I want to say Breaking Bad, but I actually watched it such a long time ago that I'm not sure if I remember it as... Okay, yeah, let's say Breaking Bad, because I was really, really into it when I was watching it. They're my top 5. I like quite serious shows, quite complicated shows, with a few exceptions, like I said, Orange is the New Black and that kind of thing. I'm not really a comedy watcher. I need to be able to concentrate to know what's happening. If I don't need to concentrate, I end up doing other things. I end up reading a magazine, or I'm doing something on my phone, or I'm chatting to someone. If you don't need to concentrate, I'm not great at viewing it. I just end up getting distracted. And comedy, you don't need to concentrate. But I suppose the closest to comedy from the ones I've mentioned would be Orange is the New Black, and I do think that's quite funny, but then I know that I've got a bit of a stranger sense of humour, so make of that what you will. But based on those, let me know what your favourite shows are, what you recommend. I wanted to start watching The Shield. I had it in my Netflix list, and then Netflix removed it, which was really annoying. Dexter we're watching at the moment. I'm not sure about that. I don't think the acting in that's very good, but the story's good. I think it'll get better. It's just I'm on the fence, and I also think because I was so obsessed with Sons of Anarchy that anything I watched after it is going to be a bit like, it's not Sons of Anarchy, but we'll see. So yes, that was, I'm watching that. Scandal I wanted to start watching as well. Again, that's not on Netflix. I think it might be on the US Netflix. I'll have to try and see if I can get the US Netflix, but yeah, I'll see about that. So those are the ones that I'm kind of currently watching / interested in watching, and I would love to hear your recommendations. I love talking about TV, and let me know what your thoughts on any of the ones I watched, you know, down below. Try and refrain from spoilers if people can, because you know not everyone might have seen everything, but I don't know, you know, like it's difficult, isn't it? Because there's lots of things I've been wanting to talk about and to say, but we'll try and refrain from spoilers if we can, okay? Especially maybe Game of Thrones spoilers, because people get very, very upset about that. So we won't talk about any Game of Thrones spoilers, okay? But yeah, comment away down below. I'm going to go now. I probably need to go and have a glass of water because I've probably been talking for about 3 hours. But I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up, and I will see you next time. Bye.